So a lot of you longtime viewers of my channel know that I am a big fan of Charlie Puth's music. The guy is a musical genius and has been at this for a while, cranking out hit after hit, and in my opinion, he is still super underrated. However, as of late, Charlie Puth has not been doing it for me. So I want to take a deep dive into where I began to lose interest and where I stand with his music now. So following the release of Voice Notes, which I loved and to this day remains one of my favorite albums of all time, it seemed as if Charlie Puth began to fall off. Voice Notes was released in 2018, and apparently the next year in 2019, Charlie went through a really bad breakup, which he has expressed was the main inspiration behind his latest single, That's Hilarious, which I'll get to later. Voice Notes was a massive success with hits such as Attention, How Long, and Done For Me, and even the deep cuts off this album were great. The album as a whole is worth a listen, and the songwriting and production is top tier. I just don't know what happened to this version of Charlie because in my opinion, this was a peak era for him. His first release following Voice Notes was a song called I Warned Myself. It came about at a time where it seemed every artist was trying to copy Billie Eilish because of her success with songs like Bad Guy. I feel as if I Warned Myself was Charlie's Bad Guy, if that makes any sense. And this is something that bugs me, is when one artist seems to crack the code for a hit song like Bad Guy, which was massive, every other artist is like, oh, if I just mimic that same formula, then I'll have a hit song too, when that's not really how it works. And this is a trap Charlie fell into with I Warned Myself. I think he thought to himself, okay, if I buzz my hair, look all edgy, make a song with minimal production, and add a choking sound effect, then I'll have a hit song like Bad Guy. But this was not the case. Now don't get me wrong, I didn't mind I Warned Myself. In fact, I think it was one of my top songs on Spotify that year. And it seemed as if this was going to be the beginning of a new era to come for Charlie Puth. He even mentioned in one of his YouTube videos, this would be a sample of what was to come.
That's the whole theme of the album, is minimalistic production.
The same year he released Mother. Once again, another song with minimal production and a sleazy chorus which read, if your mother only knew all the things that we do, like, yeah, douchebag energy. Look, I didn't mind Mother either. I had it on repeat too. But as I look back, I'm like, okay, did I have it on repeat because I actually liked the song? Or because it took Charlie Puth so long to release music, when he finally did, I was like, well, I guess this is all we get for the next, year. So I guess I'll learn to like it. Because when I go back and listen to these singles, they don't even come close to the songs on Voice Notes. Like, nowhere close. Then we had the final song Charlie released in 2019, which was Cheating on You. Once again, another song with minimal production, and overall was kind of bleh. So, needless to say, 2019 was not a great year for music for Charlie, especially coming off the success of Voice Notes. And even Charlie will admit in interviews today that his music was terrible in 2019. Apparently, Elton John was the one to tell him that.
Great, he was brutally honest with me. He said my 2019 music sucked, and I agree with him. It was not good.
So that so-called album that Charlie was working on,
that's the whole theme of the album, is minimalistic production,
was completely scrapped, which meant more waiting for the fans, more waiting than we were already doing. So that brings us to 2020. Good old 2020. So everyone was stuck at home and had nothing to do, so this brought about the astronomical rise of TikTok. I think I'm going to say right off the bat, in my opinion, TikTok ruined Charlie Puth's music. Now, before anyone gets upset, let me explain. So Charlie Puth saw this TikTok thing and thought to himself, okay, maybe if I take my fans behind the scenes of my music, show them my process, maybe I'll be able to reach more people with my music, inspire more people, which will maybe bring about more successful records. So the first single of 2020 was Girlfriend, released in June. Now I gotta say, this was not quite full-on TikTok Charlie yet, and honestly, this was the most Voice Note song we had heard in a while. I really liked Girlfriend when it came out and was like, okay, I think we're back on track, heading back in the right direction, great production, great songwriting, we're good. And then we got this atrocity.
I can see you struggling. That shit is a two-pack of ass.
I was like, no. So here we are, back to square one, back to that style of music he said was terrible in 2019, minimal production and mediocre songwriting. So this is where Charlie gets really TikTok crazy. He starts to gain more traction on the app, becomes more popular, and the fans are liking the idea of taking them behind the scenes of how he makes his music. And I agree, it was cool. I always like to see how artists create their music, but at some point, in my opinion, it becomes too much and can be a problem. And that problem is because we are already hearing so much of the music before its actual release, that leaves little to no anticipation for the actual debut of the song. Now, I don't have an issue with, a little snippet like the week before the song's release, but when you show us what the chorus is going to sound like, then another time let us hear the bridge, and then show us ideas for the second verse, it's like, why even drop the song at that point? Where is the excitement? You've basically leaked the whole song, even to the point where fans are taking snippets of the songs and editing them together to make a bootleg version of the record before it even comes out. And Charlie has even mentioned in interviews how he kind of wants to take fans along for the ride of making this album and get their feedback, but it's like, I think at some point you need to be bold as an artist and make music that is real to you, regardless of how well it is received by fans. There are so many songs on voice notes that we didn't hear the slightest bit of until the album dropped. Songs like Empty Cups, LA Girls, Slow It Down, all new, never before heard music, which made the first time listening experience more exciting. One of my favorite things to do when one of my favorite artists are about to release a record is to go on iTunes and look at the track list, see the song titles, and be like, I wonder what that song is going to be about, or I wonder what that song is going to sound like. But the thing is, with this upcoming album by Charlie Puth, which ironically will be titled Charlie, I'm going to go on iTunes and be like, oh, Marks on My Neck. Yeah, I remember hearing that one on Charlie's TikTok. Oh, I Don't Like Her. Yeah, he leaked the entire back end of the song on his Instagram Live. It's like there's no anticipation as a fan whatsoever. I love it when there's an album I wish I could go back and listen to for the first time. That's how you know you have a hit record. Like, man, if I could go back and listen to After Hours for the first time, or Awaken My Love, or, you guessed it, voice notes. But I'm afraid it's just not going to be that same sentiment for this upcoming album by Charlie Puth. So obviously one of his hit songs this year was Light Switch. In my opinion, Light Switch is a bop, for sure. But again, when I actually sit down and think about the record, I begin to have some of those same feelings I had with songs like Mother. Do I like the song because it's actually good? Or because it takes Charlie Puth like 3,000 years to release his next song, so I might as well learn to enjoy it? I don't want his music to be an acquired taste. And I don't think it's his label that's keeping him from consistently releasing music. I mean, he's mentioned on his socials all the time, oh, my label won't stop bugging me to release music. Oh, I need to release music. It's like, yeah, dude, because your last album was like freaking 4 years ago. And when he's saying shit like, oh, if this tweet gets this many likes, or if Light Switch hits this many streams, I'll release the next song. It's like, bro, we've already basically heard the next single already. Just drop the freaking song. I mean, when he literally says in interviews something like,
I used to get so concerned when a song of mine would leak online, and now I do it purposefully.
Yeah.
So you can
That's
hear
a
the rest of my
strategy.
album that I'm working on. Just Google it.
Just piece it together on TikTok.
It's all
Do you know
there.
what
I think that's a problem, in my opinion. Not to mention the quality of these records is not doing it for me. I listened to That's Hilarious today because this audio was recorded the day of its release, and it was just so underwhelming and short. Again, because I had already heard most of the song and personally wasn't really digging it in the first place, so overall it was kind of a letdown. And not to discount this song for Charlie, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, this song is inspired by a really bad breakup Charlie went through in 2019, and I empathize with that. But man, take that heartbreak and crank out a song on the level of Attention or Done For Me. Like, why are we still making these minimalistic sounding records? So the album is supposed to come out later this year, but we've all heard that one before. All we can do now is pray that Charlie doesn't have some creative epiphany and scrap this album and we have to wait another 5 years. But I think with the trajectory of where Charlie's overall sound is going, I can think of no other appropriate title for this era than the Charlie Puth SoundCloud era. And I know, go ahead, crack your fingers and unleash hell in the comments, but listen, in my opinion, all of these recent songs sound like something a moody high schooler made on his laptop using GarageBand and posted to his SoundCloud. Okay, side note, the auto-tune. Like, is it just me or does That's Hilarious seem very heavy in auto-tune? And Light Switch too. And don't get me started on After All, that song he did with Elton John. Good Lord. That song was good on paper, but my God, it was an auto-tune orgasm. Which there is no reason for because Charlie Puth can sing his ass off. He is a great vocalist. He has perfect pitch for crying out loud. Anyway, I need to calm down. I'm at the end of my rant. All of this to say, Charlie, if you're listening, if you're watching this, which you most likely aren't, I am rooting for you, bro. I love your music. But if you actually teased that Voice Notes 2 a while back, like, bro, can we please go back to that? Stop worrying about what's going to blow up on TikTok. Just produce good music, write compelling lyrics, and dial back on the auto-tune. Bring back Voice Notes Charlie. Hashtag Voice Notes 2. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And check out my other videos. I make commentary videos, reaction videos, so be sure to go check those out. As always, this is Phibbs Reacts saying, catch you later.